Hello guys, how are you all? பேக் டு பேக் ஒரே டெக்னிக்கல் கிளிச்சாகவே இருக்கனால ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஒழுங்காக பண்ண முடியல. ஸோ இன்றைக்கி கம்ப்ளீட்டாக ஒரு 2 hour ஸ்ட்ரீம் போட்டுற வேண்டியதான். நான் இந்த ஸ்ட்ரீம் பண்ணுறதுக்கான முக்கியமான காரணம் நியூஸ் ரியாக்ட்டுங்கிறது ஆல்ரெடி உங்களுக்கு சொல்லியிருக்கேன். பட் இந்த வார் டைமில் ஐ திங்க் May 7 ஆரம்பிச்சது. இட்ஸ் டே 4 ஆஃப் கான்ஃப்ளிக் பிட்வீன் இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான். எதுக்கு இந்த முக்கியமான நியூஸ் ரியாக்ட் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, வழக்கமாக நீங்கள் நியூஸ் எதிலெல்லாம் பார்ப்பீங்க? இப்போ நானாக இருந்தால் என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா, தமிழ்னா ஒரு புதிய தலைமுறை, ஒரு நியூஸ் 18 தமிழ் இதை பார்ப்பேன். சப்போஸ் ஒரு நேஷ்னல் லெவல் இங்கிலீஷ் ஸ்பீக்கிங் நியூஸ் சேனல்ஸ் அப்படின்னா இந்தியா டுடே, மிரர் நோ இதுதான் பார்ப்பேன். வேறு எதுவுமே அவ்வளோ பெருசாக கிரெடிபிளாக நினைக்கிறதில்ல. ஒரு வேர்ல்டு நியூஸ் அப்படின்னா இப்போ வியான் ஒரு டைமில் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன். அப்புறம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் போஸ்ட் அப் டு டேட்டு இது வாண்டேஜ் பாயிண்ட் வித் பல்கிஷமா அதை பார்ப்பேன். ஸோ அதை விட இன்னும் க்ரெடிபிளாக ஒரு கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட், ரெண்டு இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் லெவலில் ஒரு இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான்கிற 2 கண்ட்ரிக்கான கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட்டு. ஸோ இப்பேற்பட்ட ஒரு விஷயம் இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டி எப்படி பார்க்கப்படுது, இன்டர்நேஷ்னலோட குளோபல் ரொம்ப க்ரெடிபிளான நியூஸ் சோர்சஸ் என்ன, அதை நம்ம பார்க்க ஆரம்பிக்கிறோமா அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு தான் மெயினான ஒரு விஷயமே இது. ஸோ பேசிக்கலி இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டி இந்த இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான்கிற கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் எப்படி பார்க்குது, 2 சைடில் எப்படி இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டிக்கு, அதாவது இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான் எப்படி இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டிக்கு தங்களை தானே காட்டிக்கிறாங்க, அதில் எதில் உண்மைத்தன்மை இருக்குது. அண்ட் தென் வி ஆர் கோயிங் டு ரீட் இன் பிட்வீன் லைன்ஸ். ஆல்ரெடி நான் வந்து ஸ்கை நியூஸில் வந்து ஐ திங்க் லாஸ்ட் டைம் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் மினிஸ்டர் ஆஃப் பாகிஸ்தான் பேசுகிறத ரியாக்ட் பண்ணதை நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ தெர் ஆர் சம் திங்ஸ் தட் நீட்ஸ் டு பி கண்டினியூட். நான் அதையும் சேர்த்து முடிச்சுட்டு அண்ட் தென் ஐ வில் ஷோ யூ ஆல் த கிரெடிபிள் சோர்சஸ் அண்ட் எவ்ரி திங். நான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு உங்களுக்கு ஸ்க்ரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணுறேன். ஐ திங்க் திஸ் இஸ் த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன் விச் காட் ரெட் ஹேண்டட். பாகிஸ்தான் ஓப்பனாக அட்மிட் பண்ணினது இதுதான். இது பாகிஸ்தானோட டிஃபென்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் பயங்கரமான விமர்சனத்துக்கு உள்ளானார். ஏன்னா இவர் சொன்னது என்ன தெரியுமா, நீங்கள் இந்தியன் ஜெட்ஸ்லாம் அடிச்சு நொறுக்கணுன்னு சொன்னீங்களே, அதுக்கு ஏதாவது ஆதாரம் இருக்கான்னு கேட்டதுக்கு பாகிஸ்தான்லேருந்து இன்னொரு அஃபிஷியல் சொன்னார், அதுதான் மீடியா ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கே, பேர் என்ன, சோஷியல் மீடியா, இந்தியன் சைடில் இருக்க சோஷியல் மீடியா ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கே, நீங்கள் பார்க்கலையா அப்படின்னு கேட்டாப்புல. ஸோ அப்பேற்பட்ட சூப்பரான ஒரு அஃபிஷியல்ஸ்லாம் பாகிஸ்தான் இது வந்து அப்பியர் ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஜஸ்ட் சி வாட் ஹி ஹஸ் ரியாக்ட். இது வந்து திஸ் இஸ் த மொமெண்ட் வேர் பாகிஸ்தான் ஹஸ் அக்செப்டட். ஆமாம், நாங்கள் முன்னாடி நாங்கள் நிறையா வந்து இந்த கவர்மெண்ட்டாகவே ஸ்டேட்டாகவே நாங்கள் டெரரிஸ்ட் ஆர்கனைசேஷனுக்கு நாங்கள் வந்து அஃப்கோர்ஸ் நாங்கள் நிறையா ஹார்பர் பண்ணோங்கிறத ஒத்துக்கிட்ட ஒரு விஷயம். பாருங்கள், மோஸ்ட் பிளேடு பாருங்கள்.
This is an offshoot known, and they have claimed responsibility, the resistance front.
But my dear, if the parent organization does not exist, how can the offshoot take birth here?
Well, that's what you say. That's what you say. The Indians, their intelligence agencies, the United States is often
well,
pointed the
our
finger
intelligence agencies, they otherwise, they said it's all staged. It was staged in Pulwama also, and we were proved correct then. And our intelligence agencies, they say otherwise. Take birth here anymore.
நம்ம இங்கேருந்தே பார்ப்போம், கான்டெக்ஸ்டே தெரியாமல் பார்க்குற மாதிரி இருக்குது. கொஞ்சம் ரீவைண்ட் பண்ணி
country is because Pakistan, its intelligence agencies fund and back these terrorist organizations. That's why they're blaming you. You are now saying that this was staged by India based on what evidence?
That they never came up for any evidence for these incidents in Kashmir. Any evidence. Till now, they have in last 10-15 years, 3-4 incidents have taken place, but they never came up with any evidence. Just to blame Pakistan for something and create a situation for their own advantage. That doesn't mean that Pakistan is because Lashkar-e-Taiba in the past had some linkages in Pakistan. That doesn't mean that
what evidence do you now have that India staged this? Because
we have nothing to do with there is no Lashkar-e-Taiba does not exist in Pakistan anymore. It is extinct. It is extinct. How can
this is an offshoot known, and they have claimed responsibility, the resistance front.
But my dear, if the parent organization does not exist, how can the offshoot take birth?
Well, that's
How
what
can
you
that?
say. That's what you say. The Indians, their intelligence agencies, the United States is
That's called rebranding, my friend. That's called rebranding.
often
Well,
pointing the finger of blame.
our intelligence agencies, they say otherwise. They said it's all staged. It was staged in Pulwama also, and we were proved correct then. And India did not pursue that after the air attack, and their plane was downed, and we returned there. The things cooled down then, and now again the
But
same thing is.
you do admit, sir, that Pakistan has had a long history of backing and supporting and training and funding these terrorist organizations.
Well, we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades, and West, including Britain.
So that's your argument that even though
No, that was a mistake, and we suffered for that. And that is why you are saying this to me. If we had not joined the war against Soviet Union and later on the war after 9/11, this Pakistan's track record, was not, unimpeachable track record.
Defence Minister, I just want to get back to this particular incident in Kashmir and the noises that are now coming out of Delhi. Do you believe this situation is going to escalate and that India will launch airstrikes? Is Pakistan preparing itself for that?
We are already prepared for it. We are already prepared for it. Any eventuality which takes place in next 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days or week or 10 days, we'll retaliate and we'll react to that, in kind, inshallah.
How will you respond if India does launch a series of airstrikes?
We will measure our response to whatever is initiated by India according to that. It would be a measured response. If there is an all-out, attack or something like that, then obviously there will be all-out war. And if it is something,
and that's what I wanted to get to. We're talking about 2 nuclear powers. Should the world be worried about this moment?
Yes, I think so. The clash between 2 nuclear powers is always worrisome.
Are you expecting then all-out war? And how do you think the world should react and respond?
I think the world, the attitude which has been adopted by India over the years repeatedly, especially since the takeover by BJP, the power in Delhi, these things are taking place with quite frequency. So this is something which world should be, focusing at, because there's the 2 nuclear powers in the subcontinent, and if things get wrong, there could be a tragic outcome of this confrontation.
What message do you have to Delhi?
If I have to give them a message, is that we are neighbors. We have problems. We have some very serious problems with each other, especially over Kashmir. But we should be solving our problems through negotiations. We have had negotiations in the past, but we don't have those negotiations mechanism anymore between our 2 countries. That they have abandoned the treaty which was negotiated way back in 1960 by the World Bank. This Sindh Water Accord. So they have abandoned that, which is a very serious breakdown between the 2 countries. The relation between the 2 countries is a serious breakdown. It is underwritten by the World Bank. This treaty, they cannot abandon this treaty just like that. This is a serious blow to the relationship between the 2 countries. I think India should not be resorting to measures. This will escalate the situation, and there's a possibility that there is a outbreak of all-out war, which will have serious repercussions not only for our region, for our countries, but rest of the world also.
And
And
what message?
we should refrain from that. We should take measures to stop any situation from flaring up to a level which will be irreversible.
And what message do you have to Donald Trump? Does he have a role to play in this and the United States?
Definitely, he leads the world power, the sole world power, and he has been talking to different parties in different flashpoints all over the world. And this is also a flashpoint in this, which has two nuclear powers daggers drawn with each other. I think the attention of the world should be drawn to this this situation, and if the world power can intervene and there's some sort of sanity can be brought to this situation, it will be good. Otherwise, if there is an initiative by India, we'll respond in kind. We will not have any option. Have absolutely no option.
இது பாகிஸ்தான் டிஃபென்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் 2 வீக்ஸ் முன்னாடி பேசியிருக்காரு. Sky News have guts to call this a terror attack. She has managed to get him admit something Pakistan refused to accept for years. Well done. Why is he shaking, cluttering and shivering? She nailed him, bravo. God, this lady is beyond courageous and smart. Thank you for not beating around the bush and asking the right question. She is from Afghanistan. Her family fled from Afghanistan during Afghan-Soviet war. Brave lady. Give this journalist a rise. First non-Indian news anchor who has the courage to speak truth, and her questioning abilities are beyond impressive. Other news channels and anchors need to learn from her. Kudos Yalda. She is respectful, ambitious and right to the point. Bro is on the wrong channel. Someone please tell him it's not BBC. Hey BBC, உன நல்லவன் நினைச்சிடடா, என்னடா உன்னை பற்றி இப்படியே கமெண்ட் வருது, அடப்பாவிகளா. Next. Wow, from 1,000 miles away, she made him sweat, stutter, and mumble and shiver. This is real journalism. She's intelligent, informed, polite, and courageous. BBC, Al Jazeera, and Guardian, and New York Times be like, we can't hear anything. Adapai. அவர் ஒட்டுமொத்த எல்லாத்தையுமே போட்டுட்டாருடா. TRT2. So he is admitting using terrorist proxies against India, justifying that the US had also used them. This is the big admission. He's stammering while giving answers, and he's totally shaken, man, as if pissing his pants off. Kudos to the anchor. This is the kind of journalism we need in the world. Oops, this is not BBC, mate. Look at his justice. He's shivering and stammering continuously. Her name is Yalda Hakim. She is from Afghanistan. Her family fled the country during a Soviet-Afghan war, and when she was 6 months old. The anchor is the only woman who made Pakistan diplomats sweat even cry. Pakistani politician felt so comfortable talking as if he was being interviewed by Al-Jihada. Wow, she just admitted everything, and she even got him to drag USA in it. That next level questioning. Well done. Kudos to Sky News for saving terrorists and not rebels. He looked like a hero on Al Jazeera, and in his heroic moments, he actually admitted that the Kargil was a war fought by Pakistan. But when he is facing the real questions, he is choking. The eternal truth. Well done, Mr. Defense Minister. Thanks for your confession. I am so proud of this lady. Thanks, ma'am, from India. The truth is on his face, and his voice, a fumbling of words, sweating on the face, is all without a word. First time hearing a Western journalist asking that question to Pakistan about India-Pakistan issues. I mean, Osama was found hiding in Pakistan 100 meters away from the army, so she's a brave lady, give respect. She says Balakot strike was a false flag, but his own minister has told that day we couldn't respond properly due to poor vision. First time Pakistan is being cornered for its action in international media. Manner he starts shivering. Alda has yada all the way. Give her, she's brilliant. Interview, interrogation. Wow. This is what true journalism looks like. Alda has skillfully compelled him to admit something Pakistan has denied for years. He is sweating and body language will everything. Hats up to her. Never won a war, never lost an election. Pakistan army, who also joined the terrorists today. Thanks, Sky News, for calling out Pakistan for its terror attack. Journalists almost put the speaker into admitting Pak in funding terrorism. ஸோ இதுதான் நான் சொன்னேன். இது முக்கியமான விஷயம். 2 வீக்ஸ் முன்னாடி இதுதான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு வெளியில் வந்துச்சு. அண்ட் தென் வி ஹாவ் அதர் இஷ்யூஸ் அஸ் வெல், லைக் வி வில் ரிட்டாலியேட் அப்படிங்கிற இந்த விஷயம். யூகே ஹை கமிஷனர் நினைக்கிறேன். நாங்கள் பார்த்துருவோம். எஸ் இதுதான். Just a second.
Yes, it began around this time yesterday, and 9 targets so far we know have been hit. More than 30.
அதாவது ஃபஸ்ட்டு டிஃபென்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் பேசினாங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் மட்டும் தான் 7th ஏப்ரல் நாம் வந்து ஃபஸ்ட்டு ரிட்டாலியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம் ஃபார் த பஹல்காம் இன்சிடென்ட். அண்ட் தென் அதுக்கு அடுத்த நாள் வந்து அவங்களோட ஹை கமிஷனர் டு த யூகே, பாகிஸ்தானோட ஹை கமிஷனர் வந்து ஸ்கை நியூஸில் பேசியிருக்காரு. அதுதான் அப்புறமா பார்க்க போகிறோம்.
7 people, civilians, have lost their lives.
நாம் இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் மீடியாவில் ப்ரெஸ் மிலிட்ரி ப்ரீஃபிங் என்ன கொடுத்துருக்காங்கன்னா, நாங்கள் 9 டெரர் சைட்ஸை அட்டாக் பண்ணியிருக்கோன்னு. பட் ஆனால் இவங்க தான் சொல்கிறாங்க சிவிலியன்ஸ் தான் பாதிக்கப்பட்டாங்க, பெண்களும் குழந்தைங்களும் பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. அதுதான் அதனால தான் இந்த இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டியில் எப்படி பார்க்கப்படுதுங்கிறது ரொம்ப முக்கியம் நான் சொல்லிகிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
More than 37 people, civilians, have lost their lives. This includes women and children. Their pictures, videos are all around in the media, not just Pakistani media.
இப்போ ஃபஸ்ட்டு டிஃபென்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் பேசினார், நம்ம April 7 நம்ம ரிட்டாலியேட் பண்ணோம் ஃபார் த பஹல்காம் இன்சிடென்ட். அண்ட் தென் அவங்களோட இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் மினிஸ்டர் பேசினார், அதுதான் நம்ம முன்னாடி நம்ம சேனல் நம்ம ரியாக்ட் பண்ணியிருந்தோம். அண்ட் தென் திஸ் இஸ் த ஹை கமிஷனர். உங்களுக்கு அந்த க்ரோனாலஜி புரியும் நம்புகிறேன்.
About 58 or 59 are injured, some of them grievously. It is a serious matter because 37 people were being buried all over Pakistan today. So it is a very, very serious matter. Of course, Pakistan wanted to avoid it. We have been saying for the last 14-15 days, let's investigate the matter. International investigation. Pakistan is ready to join the international investigation. Including UN Security Council, so many countries have requested for de-escalation, but instead of listening to that, India chose to attack yesterday.
High Commissioner, you say that Pakistan didn't want it to escalate. Do you still not want it to escalate?
We never wanted it to escalate. The attack has happened. 37 civilians have lost their lives. Of course, our National Security Committee, that is the chief decision-making body led by the Prime Minister, it met today. And of course, a statement has come out of it. A final decision will be of the Security Committee. Let's see how it pans out today.
I mean, in your assessment, and I've been speaking to Pakistani ministers who say they will respond. From your assessment, what could that response look like?
No, it is not for me to predict what it would be. Pakistan's first choice was peace, and we insisted on that. We chose the best way forward, that we thought that, okay, don't believe us, don't believe the Indians, believe the international community, tell them, and an international inquiry can...
In terms of an investigation?
Of course,
I just want to point out to investigations, because in 2001, the Indian Parliament was attacked. Pakistan was invited to be part of the investigation. In 2008, the Mumbai attacks took place. The finger of blame was pointed at terrorist groups that had arrived into Mumbai from Pakistan. Pakistan was called on for an investigation. In 2016, the Uri attack, Pakistan was invited to be part of the investigation. In 2019, the Pulwama attack took place. Pakistan was invited to be part of the investigation. At all of these different junctures, Pakistan may have cooperated on the surface, but it didn't do anything to prevent these terror groups from flourishing within the country.
First, we have to have our facts right. Somebody has given you the paper, but he has
No one
not...
has given me this paper. Actually, I spoke to, and I've been documenting and following this, but please, but this isn't a paper that someone has just...
The facts have to be right. The 2008, it was not that Pakistan was invited every time, as you say. No, Pakistan itself said that there should be an investigation. And all these investigations are pending because lack of Indian collaboration. It is the... Let me complete. No.
I just want to point out, because Prime Minister Modi was criticized for inviting Pakistan to Delhi to be part of an investigation at one point. And yet...
Which investigation?
It was either the 2016, the Uri attack, or the 2019.
No, it can be either. We're talking of facts. There was no such thing that he was criticized for something.
By the Indian public.
It is pending, but maybe, I don't know, but it is pending because India unilaterally in 2019 decided to throw all international law under the bus and withdraw the Article 370. Since then, there is no dialogue. The SARC summit, SARC is the organization which runs South Asia, which should have led South Asia to development, 1.7 billion people. It is dysfunctional for one reason. India doesn't want it to move forward. 2016 November, the summit was to be in Islamabad. 9 years have passed. Look where GCC has gone. Look where African Union has gone.
Wait. High Commissioner, I do want you to get your points across, and that's why we've invited you on the program.
No, but this has to be clarified that it is not pending because of Pakistan. India has to provide the evidence. We have to collaborate. The delegations have to meet. The embassies have to interact. If they throw missiles at my country, how do we collaborate with them? And there is no dialogue since 2016 because they stopped everything. They walked out of the summit, which they facts because I deal with it.
Yes.
First, on February 2016, India agreed to holding of SAARC summit. This agreement was in Pokhara in Nepal. I was there, and the date was agreed was November. Now they backed out of it.
So you're talking about a summit versus India
dialogue.
And a dialogue. Dialogue, correct.
The dialogue has to happen for the collaboration and everything.
But the accusation here is on Pakistan funding these terrorist organizations.
There are accusations about everything, and we can relitigate history or whatever we can do. The issue was that you said that among 5 or 6, and I can give you 5 others, in which allegations were made on us. Then there is some Samjhauta Express. Allegations are on India. We have said again and again, let's sit down, let's discuss, let's find a solution.
Do you think, though, when terrorists launch these types of attacks, it completely derails any chance of both sides sitting down, having dialogue, talking to each other to bring about peace?
I believe in that you have to overcome the terrorist attacks and continue with dialogue. Find this. That is the only way. If your dialogue process is derailed by one terror attack, then in the entire world, nothing can move forward.
It wasn't one terror attack, though. We're talking, I mean,
multiple. Samjhauta Express happened.
The parliament was attacked, the Mumbai attacks.
The Indians took Siachen, the whole glacier, Kamar and Chorbatla. The history, when you go into history, it is a very painful history.
It is an incredibly painful history on both sides, which I put to your defense minister just in the last week.
We have to come out of the defense minister thing. I think you have made the point.
The information minister as well yesterday was talking about things like Osama bin Laden didn't exist in and wasn't found in.
We can start the history from 1947 and we can continue with it, and I can quote books and you can. The issue, what is the issue now? 1.3 billion Indians, 250 million Pakistanis
need to find a common ground.
Need to coexist. Yalda, this is very important. We have to find, I'm a diplomat.
Yes.
My job is to find a solution in which both the countries at least find some space in which they can move forward. My children can...
But sir, I know and I understand, and as you say, it is a painful history, but when the military, the intelligence services, the security forces in Pakistan, the defense establishment are accused, and it is a known documented fact that even the State Department has been following and the Trump administration has criticized, is that Pakistan uses these proxies. Unless that is overcome and these terrorist attacks continue,
the Samjhauta Express, the entire train was burnt, people were burnt alive. There is no accusation on Pakistan, and I can quote you 10 other incidents because this is allegations counter. How do you come out of these allegations counter allegations? International investigation. Why is India shirking from an international investigation if they are so sure?
I mean, that is why I've pointed to these other
investigations. No, but this is wrong. I have quoted you. I have quoted you instances on all these. Pakistan is ready to collaborate. India has to come to the table, and of course, we have to share evidence. The witnesses have to be presented. There are legal procedures, which of course are in front of. Just quoting, like naming 10, and I can name you 20, that they took the entire Siachen glacier, and it's still controversial.
I mean, again, you keep pointing to these investigations, but for Pathankot attack in 2016, India did invite a joint investigation team to Pakistan.
Yes.
And I mean,
not to Pakistan. India invited a team went there.
Yes, which
then
is
it is stopped because there is no collaboration from. They have stopped the collaboration. We have not. They are the ones who walked out of Kashmir. They are the ones since 2016. There is no dialogue.
But if you're not cracking down on these terror groups, which is the
we
point
are doing
of
whatever we can, because my country, I would know it better. We are doing whatever is possible, much more than Pakistan. Is the biggest victim. On 25th of March, the entire train was hijacked and entire train, stuff of films and clear links.
Then why does the intelligence agencies and the military continue to support these groups?
Nobody is supporting anything. The links are going to India, and there was clear.
No, but I'm talking about these proxy groups that exist.
I am not talking of any proxy groups, and we can discuss everything. I am talking of India and Pakistan. Can we find a solution to the problem? And we can have a longish discussion of your understanding of history or my understanding of history. How do we move forward? By allegations and counter-allegations? No. We have to find the appetite to sit together, discuss it patiently, not by bombing my country in the middle of the night yesterday and killing 37 civilians. Now, this you're missing entire thing that in one of my foreign service colleagues, his nephew had shahadat, 6-year-old Irtaza Abbas, 6-year-old, and he was in his home. The home was bombed, and the boy is dead. Who is responsible?
And what about reports that the leader of Jaish-e-Mohammed's family, 10 members of his family were killed? Reports that have come out.
I have seen. There is no confirmation of it. I don't know. As I say, there is no love lost for anyone. Let's investigate. Let somebody independent investigate. My Prime Minister is saying, then
And if links of Jaish-e-Mohammed
anyone
were found within Pakistan?
You can't name them like this without any, you can't be the judge, jury and executioner. We have to investigate before we start. What has India done? We presume that these were mosques that were attacked.
They're seminaries, madrasas and
mosques,
seminaries.
and you can go and see that. The international media was there yesterday. We're just taking them around. Mosques have been attacked.
But madrasas and seminaries that are,
they are mosques.
Extremist building
No, this is, you can imagine anything that you want. And I would respect that. Of course, it's your imagination. Something has to be proven. Would you let anyone in Europe do that and I'm going to bomb that country because I think there's a seminary or something? That can't happen.
I'm just going to keep you there because
Please.
we have with us on the programme as well, just to get the view from India, and this is not going to be a debate or a panel discussion, but I do want to bring in Javeer Singh, a spokesperson from the Indian Prime Minister's ruling BJP party. Mr. Gill, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. You've been hearing from the High Commissioner. The High Commissioner is saying that the past needs to be put behind everyone. We're talking about 1.4 billion Indians and several hundred million Pakistanis. Both countries need to coexist. What is your response to what the High Commissioner is saying?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Ms. Yakeem, has a 3E policy: evaporate, eradicate, and eliminate terrorist and supporter of terrorist. And Operation Sindoor is a living testimony to that. On 24th April, our Prime Minister made a commitment to the nation that those who support terror will be eliminated. 7th May, Operation Sindoor is a fulfillment of that promise. As far as Pakistan is concerned, the message, our Operation Sindoor, is just not a mission. It's a clear message to Pakistan and the entire world that enough is enough, no more. India will not tolerate terrorism and India will not hesitate to eliminate terrorism. That message has to be clear. And lastly, India's right to self-defense is uncompromisable. Now, Pakistan is thick-skinned and shameless. Pakistan talking about finding common ground. Pakistan talking about peace is like a devil quoting from the scriptures. If Pakistan was so innocent and holier than thou, why they have been on the FATF grey list for the longest period of time? Why was Osama bin Laden found there? Why the entire world frowns upon Pakistan?
Mr. Gill, I just want to interrupt because one of the things that Pakistan is pushing back on, they're saying that there's been no investigation following the 22nd of April terror attack in Kashmir, and India automatically pointed the finger of blame on Pakistan without any kind of investigation taking place, that there should have been an international investigation and that Pakistan was willing to cooperate in that.
After 2001, 2008, 2016, 2019, time for investigation is over. India is now all for action against terror camps. In fact, the ambassador sitting on your show and the entire Pakistan civilian population should be grateful to Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he has done what Pakistan army and Pakistan government cannot do, that is eliminate terrorists.
Well, they're concerned about civilian populations being hit. They say that mosques have been targeted and civilian populations have been killed as a result of these airstrikes.
Let me be very clear on your show. Terrorists are not civilians. Our press release officially from the government of India clarified with proof, visuals, no civilian, no military establishment, and no civilian houses were hit. 9 terrorist sites were attacked and hit to ensure those monsters who attacked India do not repeat the same mistake in their next 7 lives. That's a categorical statement with proof.
Could you tell us a little bit more about this evidence that you're pointing to of the targets that were hit? Because there's all sorts of information coming out on all sorts of platforms about who may have been targeted and killed. From the Pakistani side, they say that they have images, videos that show that civilians, including women and children, were hit and targeted, including mosques. And India last night, the army put out a statement to say that these were seminaries that were hit, that groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed, which they believe were linked to the Kashmir attack of the 22nd of April, were targeted. And there's all sorts of information currently in the fog of war that seems to be swirling around.
10:30 a.m. India time, the government of India did a detailed press briefing where all the visuals were also there. Secondly, Ms. Yakeem, please understand the approach between the two nations. Difference. India believes in combating terrorism. Pakistan believes in supporting terrorism. And when ambassador on your show talks about evidence, the defense minister of Pakistan was asked, you are claiming that you shot down 5 Indian planes. Where is the proof? He says it's all over social media. Now, that is the kind of hallucination Pakistan suffers from. On the contrary, today Pakistan has hit a Sikh holy temple, killed children, hit civilians in Poonch. India is still warning that Pakistan should stop, resist supporting terrorists. Otherwise, Pakistan is already known as a country which holds a record for deploying their air force, deploying their army, and hitting Indian civilians for what? For the sake of pleasing terrorists and terror camps, which have put a begging ball in the hands of Pakistan. There is a reason. My last comment. India is the voice of global South, and Pakistan is the face of global terrorism. And we will slap that face hard. And there is no negotiation in that.
Well, at this point, things are tense and have escalated on both sides. Will India...
அவ்வளோ ஹார்ஷாக பேசணுமான்னு தெரில, கொஞ்சம் டிப்ளமேட்ஸாகவே இறக்கி பேசியிருந்துருக்கலாம். ரொம்ப டூ ஹார்ஷாக இருக்குது. இப்போ இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் கம்யூனிட்டிக்கு எப்படி நம்ம அப்பீல் ஆகும்?
For the sake of pleasing terrorists in terror camps, which have put a begging ball in the hands of Pakistan, there is a reason. My last comment: India is the voice of global South, and Pakistan is the face of global terrorism, and we will slap that face hard, and there is no negotiation in that.
Well, at this point, things.
We will slap that face hard. India is the voice of global South, and Pakistan is the face of global terrorism, and we will slap that face hard, and there is no negotiation in that.
Well, at this point, things are tense and have escalated on both sides. Will India back down now, draw a line in the sand? Because Pakistan says that it has no choice but to retaliate, given the scale of the attack last night.
Two quick points. Number one, if Pakistan will retaliate, they will hit another self-goal and expose themselves and prove to the world that Pakistan is in support of terror and terror groups. Number two, India will not back down. India is awake. India will not sleep till each and every terror camp in Pakistan is destroyed.
Mr. Gill, thank you very much for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.
I just want to get your reaction, because there's clearly a lot of anger in India around this. It's back to the root of what we were talking about, that terrorist camps exist in Pakistan, and India says that that's what it hit. On the point of the Pakistani Defence Minister Khwaja Asif speaking to television networks and saying that these fighter jets were struck down and referencing social media, that is an interview that I saw as well. Just your response and statement to that.
First, we should always be civilized in our comments. So the kind of language, it's very nice. Even if we go to war with India, that doesn't stop me from being civilized. So my comments will be within civility. The jets shot down. I hope you have seen in the CNN now, there's this news item quoting a French intelligence person and clearly saying that more than one plane, Rafales, were shot down. More information is coming. I am no one to doubt CNN. It is a global name. It has published something. So there must be some merit to it. There are others, many others.
I mean, I'm quoting the defense minister who was pointing to social media, not actual
No, I am quoting you CNN, and you can see it. Just one search.
He spoke to CNN, the defense minister.
Yeah, you can. What I'm quoting can be checked on CNN. This is a French intelligence. They are quoting. I'm not quoting anything. That their planes have been shot down, and we should be still, whatever we go to fight or not, we should be civil and we should have logic in whatever we are saying. Just by claiming that they are terrorists, I am this means nothing. Please, let me. Now you have.
I do want to. I know you're making a civility. I know you're making a civility.
This is not how it's my country at stake. It's not my persona This is not acceptable. The kind of language that he was making. This is the reputation of your institution also. We should be, fine. We go to war. But that doesn't take us out of the civility. The anger you mentioned or they mentioned, there's anger there. 37 of my civilians are dead and there's anger there. This is crazy. How
did you think India was going to respond to this attack?
Which attack?
This the 22nd of April attack that took place in Kashmir.
You have to, for God's sake, you have to prove something. You can't be the judge.
எனக்கு இதுவே கொஞ்சம் டவுட்டாக இருக்குது கைஸ். எங்கள் ஊரில் 30 பேர் செத்துருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சிரிச்சுக்கிட்டே சொல்கிறதாகட்டும், ப்ரூஃப் இங்கே ரிலேட்டிவ்ஸ் சொன்னாங்க, CNN சொன்னாங்க. நீங்கள் தானே ஏன் சுட்டு வீழ்த்துறீங்க? உங்ககிட்ட ப்ரூஃப் இல்லையா? உங்ககிட்ட வீடியோ இல்லையாங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்குது. எனக்கு எல்லாமே ரொம்ப ஃபிஷ்ஷியாக இருக்குது. மேபி இன் ஃபாக் ஆஃப் ஆரா இல்லை என்னன்னு தெரியல, இண்டியன்ஸாக இருக்கிறதா இல்லையானும் தெரியல, பயாஸ்டாக யோசிக்கிறோமா, நேச்சுரல் பயாஸ்டாக இருக்கோமான்னு தெரியல. பட் ஐ ஜென்யூன்லி திங்க் அது இது கொஞ்சம் ஃபிஷ்ஷியாக தான் ஓப்பனாகவே இருக்குது.
You mentioned or they mentioned there's anger there. 37 of my civilians are dying. Please, let me. Now you have.
I do want to. I know you're making a civility. I know you're making a civility.
This is not how it's my country at stake. It's not my persona This is not acceptable. The kind of language that he was making. This is the reputation of your institution also. We should be, fine. We go to war. But that doesn't take us out of the civility. The anger you mentioned or they mentioned, there's anger there. 37 of my civilians are dead and there's anger there. This is crazy. How did
you think India was going to respond to this attack?
Which attack?
This the 22nd of April attack that took place in
You
Kashmir.
have to, for God's sake, you have to prove something. You can't be the judge. I respect you a lot, but whatever you say can't be taken on the face value.
It's not me. It's not me saying it. No, but there is a history of Lashkar-e-Taiba. There is a history of Lashkar-e-Taiba, the military, the ISI backing these groups. So we can go back and forth on this. But there is a reason that Pakistan was on a grey list for many years. And up until 2022, the State Department said that there were terrorist groups and organizations within.
Something was checked that this is okay, fine. The international community respect the law. They said that you are not on the grey list anymore. Accept it then. That's fine. Somebody must have checked. Somebody must have verified. There are institutions.
So every
there was something.
madrasa, every seminary,
I don't know. You should ask the FATF. Nah? If there's a question mark here, please ask the FATF. Then why did you take them? You have to respect something. You don't respect the UN. By you, I mean, them. That you don't respect the UN Security Council resolutions, which you accepted that you'll ask the people of Jammu and Kashmir whatever they want. They agreed to it. Now they have walked out of it. You don't accept the Indus Waters Treaty, the treaty that negotiated for 10 years and everything, and you say, we are walking out of it. A country which is like in a habit of not following international law is telling.
I mean, they would say the same about Pakistan.
No, but I'm quoting you.
I know you are so, and I know that you're a diplomat, and I know that Pakistan's civilian government has long tried to distance itself with the history of funding and backing terrorist proxy groups. But that is also part of Pakistan's history, which Bilawal Bhutto has admitted to me, which your defense minister has admitted to me.
Is sadly not just any terror group. It is the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, which is there for 78 years.
And that's why these terror groups exist within Pakistan to target.
Whatever, they were there or not there. The problem remains, you are not ready to ask the people of Jammu and Kashmir what they want. You want to impose upon them Indian terrorism like what they did with Pakistan yesterday night.
So terror groups go in and launch
Pakistan
these types
will,
of
no, I
attacks
never
in
said that.
response.
Pakistan is not going to accept such kind of attacks. Let's be very clear. We cannot be cowed out because they launch missiles or something. We will remain civil. We will retaliate whenever we are attacked. There should be no doubt about that.
High Commissioner, we're grateful that you've joined us on the program.
இது 2 நாள் முன்னாடி பேசுனது. She is alone in Brahmo. She alone is Brahmos for a whole bunch of Pak bureaucrats, no corner to hide from them. Meanwhile, the real Prime Minister is in jail. She is eating Pakistani bureaucrats every time. அப்படி போட்டிருக்காங்க. என்னடா யாழ்டாக்கு ஒரு ஃபேன் கிளப்பே ஆரம்பிச்சலாம் போல அப்படி இருக்குங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு. She is eating Pakistani bureaucrats every time. This diplomat had the most toughest job in the world, saving his country when there is no prestige left. Guys are roasting, guys. Yalda become new hero in India for deep knowledge research and asking right questions without fear. Even Osama was there, prestigious civilian. Manjesh Kumar. Why Pakistani force and ISI were president for of elite terrorist? Correct. Can a thief investigate his own theft? If you know, you know. Defense Minister quoting social media and CNN for proof is comedy gold. What a journalist she is. This is journalism well done from India. Terrorists are not civilians. She is a bold anchor. She has been to India. She is asking bold questions from Pakistani officials based on real-time information and facts. I am glad Sky News has got Yalda Hakim. Otherwise, Sky News ratings would have gone down. The anchor is simply brutal. Yalda Hakim is a brave Afghan journalist and she is cooking Pakistani spokesperson. She got the Pakistani defense minister to admit they supported terrorism for the last 3 decades. The real difference, educated from university, educated from madrasa. His words may sound convincing, but his body language whispers the truth he is trying to hide. They act so innocent and peace-loving. Never forget Bin Laden took refuge in Pakistan. If anyone want to learn how to lie confidently, join the Pakistan Academy. I don't know best answer from diplomat. I admire her not just because she's questioning Pakistani, but because she's asking the right questions, the kind that actually matters. That's what journalism, real journalism, looks like. I will be following her from here on out. Super guys. She's a really good anchor. Doesn't give into nonsense. Brings him back to core issues. It's so funny when Pak official says Pakistan is a peaceful country. Great neutral reporter hearing both sides equal and making clear points. 1.3 billion people stand with the awesome journalist. Stands with this awesome journalist. Don't frame civilians, share names, ID proof and DNA if true. Why are terror groups attending funerals if deaths aren't terrorists? Tell the full truth. This journalist cooking everyone. Indian news anchor should learn. இதுதான் எதிர்பார்த்துக்கிட்டு இருந்தேன். சக்தி கரெக்டாக சொன்னீங்க. சக்தி துபே. Indian news anchor should learn from this lady how a journalist should ask questions and maintain professionalism. He talks about civility and the whole world saw the civil gesture from his office to Hindus protesting outside his office. I am stunned that Pakistanis talks about civility. He suddenly changed the topic when she said Osama. 370 article is in Indian constitution, not Pakistani constitution. That Pakistani commissioner was very polite and gentle with his language. When did the terrorists turn to be civilians? Bro, she fried him like a chicken. This Pakistani commissioner pretends to be composed, but when Alda Hakim asks a question, he starts taking up. Appreciate Alda him for a journalistic skills. CNN and Fox News take notes. Teacher, give me an example of oxymoron. Student, peaceful Pakistan. Yes, army chief said India and Pakistan are so different in everything and can't coexist together just before the terror attack. Ask him what were Pakistan army and agency doing in terrorist funeral after yesterday's strike. Yalda Hakim, the new crush of all Indians. Pakistan will retaliate with Operation Surrender 2.2. Pakistan's first choice is peace. Enough comedy for today. Someone give this woman an Aadhaar card. Unfair journalism by this lady, hats off. This is what real journalism looks like. Great job by the lady and huge respect. At least 5 times throughout the interview on the fact-based statements, this guy said, I don't know. She's doing a job fearlessly. Salute and appreciate. Yalda is a real journalist. Whole India respects Yalda. Can't believe this man came up with a Siachen in response to history of terrorist attacks on India. This shows how salty they are still over their military defeats. The Indian spokesperson was just on point, and this Pakistan commissioner had nothing else to say. Pakistan and peace is a joke phrase of century. It is not about her origin. She is blatantly stating facts that the pack is unable to defend. Families of terrorists are also terrorists, not civilians. This so-called diplomat needs to get his definition correct in the first place. Spineless man. It's like suddenly the whole world has stood up in support of India from the dark. Joke of the day, Pakistan is a peaceful country and this guy don't want to be seen in Pakistan. He didn't even mention Pahalgam incident even once, didn't even feel sorry for the loss of Indians and civilians who were killed in front of their loved ones. This is what shows how civilized he is. What Pakistan has to do with Article 370. She's the real journalist. 1.5 billion people, Indian people with the Hakim, Halda Hakim. It's good to know that Pakistan intelligence comes from reports and media houses like CNN. Indian response was crisp to the point and prudential. ஸோ இதுதான் கைஸ் 2 நாள் முன்னாடி நடந்தது. இதே உங்களுக்கு நான் காட்டி ரியாக்ட் பண்ண நினச்சேன், பண்ணிட்டேன். வேறு ஏதாவது முக்கியமான விஷயங்கள் இருக்கா? இந்தியாஸ் ஹை கமிஷனர், இது பாகிஸ்தான் ஹை கமிஷனரோட பார்த்துட்டோம். அடுத்தது இந்தியாவோட ஹை கமிஷனரை பற்றி பார்க்கணுன்னு வச்சுருந்தேன். இப்போ வரைக்கும் நான் அதுவும் மறந்த மாதிரி தெரியல. அவங்க அடுத்தது போவோம். இது பாகிஸ்தானோட யூகே ஹை கமிஷனர், அடுத்தது இந்தியாவோட ஹை கமிஷனர்.
Well, joining me now is India's High Commissioner to the UK, Vikram Doraiswamy. Thank you so much, High Commissioner, for joining us here on the program. Our correspondent Cordelia.
அவங்களுக்கு நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட்லேருந்து வைக்கிறேன், விஷுவல் கட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
Well, joining me now is India's High Commissioner to the UK, Vikram Doraiswamy. Thank you so much, High Commissioner, for joining us here on the program. Our correspondent Cordelia Lynch was just reporting there from Pakistan, and she also talked about the warning that Pakistan has issued, saying the world will find out when they do strike back. How concerned are you that this thing is just going to start to escalate?
Let me point out that the original escalation is Pakistan's sponsored terror group's attack on civilians in Pahalgam on 22nd April. You know, our response thereafter was precise, targeted, reasonable, and moderate. It was focused principally and solely on terrorist infrastructure. We did not strike the Pakistani military establishment. We did not strike national infrastructure. And we made it abundantly clear, including in the briefing that was given yesterday morning by our permanent secretary, our foreign secretary, and by military officers, that the object of this exercise was clearly to avoid military escalation. The fact was actually acknowledged in a left-handed way, of course, by the Pakistani side in terms of their own statements, official statements, which said that the airspace hadn't been violated and that, no military establishments were attacked.
And yet they did say that civilians were killed in this attack.
You see the images that they put out themselves. These were at places well known and identified even in Western media for many, many years as central points in the terrorism infrastructure of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Hizbul Mujahideen, well-known parts of that infrastructure and those establishments.
Can you confirm that the leader and founder of Jaish-e-Mohammed's family members were killed in this strike?
Well, they put it out on their own social media. This is not us confirming. It is on well-known handles, social media handles of the group.
High Commissioner, I want to ask you about Chinese-made Pakistani fighter jet planes that say they shot down...
எனக்கு என்ன டவுட்னா அவங்களும் சோஷியல் மீடியா ரெஃபர் பண்ணுறாங்க, நீங்களே ஏன் சோஷியல் மீடியா ரெஃபர் பண்ணுறீங்க அப்படிங்கிறது தான் ஒரு சோகமாக இருக்கு எனக்கு.
...two Indian military aircraft on Wednesday. What is your reaction and response to that?
Well, you had the defense minister on your show a couple of days ago. He said that the evidence for that was on social media. By that yardstick, today's media all over in India over the last 3 hours has reported the shoot down of 2 Chinese-made fighter jets and an F-16 and an airborne early warning platform.
Well, High Commissioner,
I don't believe, the point that I was trying to make, if I may just complete that, look, if it satisfies Pakistan's ego to say that they've done something, they could have used that as an off-ramp to move on. But clearly they chose not to, and they've continued to escalate the matter.
This is a report I'm reading from Reuters based on 2 US officials telling Reuters this. They're saying it's the first time that Western officials have confirmed that there was high confidence that Pakistan had used the Chinese-made J-10 aircraft to launch air-to-air.
இதுதான் சொன்னேன், மோஸ்ட் க்ரெடிபிளான குளோபல் ஏஜென்சிஸை நம்ம அதை தான் பார்க்கணுமே. ஏன்னா குளோபல் ஏஜென்சிஸில் வந்து லைக் ரைட்டர்ஸ் ஆகட்டும், இல்லை அல்ஜசீரா ஆகட்டும், பிபிசி ஆகட்டும், இவங்கெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் அளவுக்கு கரெக்டான கொஞ்சம் நியூட்ரலைஸ்டான இது கொடுக்குறாங்க, இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்காங்க, க்ரெடிபிளான ஸ்டோரிஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க. ஸோ அதனால தான் நினச்சிட்டே இருந்தேன் ரைட்டர்ஸ் போகிறோன்னு ஸ்கை நியூஸ் முடிச்சுட்டு போவோம், ஜெரோஸ்ட்டு முடிச்சுட்டு போவோம்.
Air missiles against Indian fighter jets, bringing down at least 2.
This is something that, let's ask Reuters, but my larger sense is that there is no evidence of that. We haven't actually confirmed any such thing. The better point is to ask actually if all of this is true, and if Pakistan has essentially succeeded in making its point as it wanted to, why are they not stopping? The question you have to ask yourself, however, is the other one, which is that if Pakistan says it's retaliating, as my colleague, the Pakistan High Commissioner, said here yesterday, what are they retaliating about? They're retaliating against attacks on terrorism infrastructure. So what does that tell you of their relationship with the terror groups?
Well, they're saying that they're distancing themselves completely from Pahalgam, and they're saying they had nothing to do with it. They've said that they've asked for an investigation, and India has refused an international investigation that they were happy to cooperate in.
Well, this is a story we've heard multiple times before. In 2016, after the Pathankot attack, which you referred to, we offered them an unprecedented amount of access to an Indian Air Force base which had been attacked at Pathankot. DNA samples, telephone records, the whole works. It was supposed to be a joint investigation. We never got invited for the second part of it. And frankly, each time, if you go all the way back to 2008, to the Mumbai terror attacks, where a substantial amount of information and material evidence was provided to the world and to Pakistan, who made the same generous offer of cooperation, all they've used it for is to hide their tracks and to take away fundamentally what are assets of their deep state.
High Commissioner, I'm just going to keep you there because I just want to give our viewers and audience some context and bring that in. And I just want to pause for a moment, just remind our viewers how the 2 countries stack up against each other militarily. Now, India has over 1.2 million active personnel in its army. Pakistan has less than half of that, 560,000. In the Navy, India has 75,000 active personnel and Pakistan has 30,000. In the Air Force, India has almost 150,000 personnel, while Pakistan, again, has less than half with 70,000. But let's look at the Chinese factor now into the equation. China is by far Pakistan's largest weapons supplier, providing 81% of imports from 2020 to 2024. In contrast, Russia is your country's largest supplier, India's, and provided 36% of its weapon imports in the same period. How worried is India about the China factor?
I don't see why we should be. The Chinese have a relationship with us also. Their own statements of yesterday from their Foreign Office and their Foreign Office spokespersons have been, by the broad metrics of the reactions elsewhere, been largely in the center. I don't see why that should be a factor.
It doesn't worry you then that they supply such a high level of military hardware to Pakistan, 80% or so? And that's the accusation in terms of what shot down these two Indian military aircraft?
Well, according to the same sets of unknown and unnamed people, we've supposedly shot down two Chinese fighters earlier today. I don't know if these are true. Nobody knows if this is true, unless actual evidence is put out of it, although the press is now suggesting in India that they even have, they've even had pilots who've ejected and been captured. Now, the reality is simply this. China requires a relationship with all of its neighbors, that includes us. Its defense relationship with Pakistan is long-standing. It is for Pakistan to decide whether it chooses to use its military hardware for its self-defense or to actually attack other countries. This has been the problem even with material supplied by the United Kingdom or by the US in the past. Essentially, it's been taken on the guise of fighting terror, for instance, like the F-16 aircraft bought in the mid-2000s. And as we all know, the F-16 has principally been used against us, including in 2019.
That's correct. Pakistan says that it will strike at a time and place of its choosing, and India will be made aware of that. Is India worried and preparing for this and potential scenarios?
We have made it abundantly clear in our official statement, again, as I said, both yesterday and today. We're not looking for an escalation, but if Pakistan responds, as we have done, we will respond proportionately and in exactly the same line.
Which would be what? Targeting these terror bases or
Well,
not?
look, if we have said if the military is attacked, we had not attacked their military. As they've now started trying to attack our bases, hit back at their air defense systems and at their units too. But I do want to remind everybody that for the last 15 days, they've also opened up artillery fire along the line of control, also in Jammu and Kashmir. So that has had a civilian toll. So for everybody who's worrying about that, this has been going on for the last 2 weeks.
I just want to come back to this point on the Indian military aircraft. I know India is not confirming this situation. There are now Western officials coming out. The French have said that they have an understanding that the aircraft, the Rafale that India has been hit. Are you concerned that you're going to continue to have this kind of loss?
I don't think so. What is the purpose? First of all, we don't know if this has happened. But as a famous British admiral once said, the purpose of military infrastructure and hardware is for it to be used, right? If it serves its purpose, and it all serves its purpose brilliantly, I think there is little doubt that we have hit with great precision as many as 9 terror infrastructure camps. We have shown we have capacity to hit with surgical precision at individual buildings within the terror camps. What we are then signaling is we have the capacity, if Pakistan escalates it, we have the capacity to really punish them harder.
High Commissioner, I just have a minute left, but I've spoken to a retired general who in Pakistan who referenced India funding and backing the Baluch Liberation Army. They've said that they have done that for years. And when I asked him about Masood Azhar, he said, well, their family members were targeted. Should we be doing the same to, the high-level militants from the BLA, the Baluch Liberation Army, that are seen and operate within Delhi?
Well, look, let me show you this photograph of yesterday, I believe it is, to your viewers. This person here is a sanctioned terrorist under the American sanctions regime. His name is Hafiz Abdur Rauf. He's the brother of the founder of the terrorist groups that you're mentioning. Look who's behind him, Pakistani military. Look at the coffins there. They have the Pakistani national flag. If you're going to be giving terrorists...
தாங்காய்ஸ் இருக்கிறதுல பயங்கரமான சம்பவம். ஸ்கை நியூஸ்லேயே சம்பவம் பண்ணியிருக்காப்புல தலைவன்.
State funerals, what does that... Look who's behind him, Pakistani military. Look at the coffins there. They have the Pakistani national flag. If you're going to be giving terrorists state funerals, what does that make of your system? And everybody knows that for the last 30 years, Pakistan has used this as a means of subcritical warfare against India. If the international community really wants to be able to look at this and worry about it, the simple solution is to tell Pakistan it has an opportunity for an off-ramp. These are things that the world should have compelled Pakistan to do 30 years ago, and to compel them to implement their promises about taking down this infrastructure. It has not done so.
We can't verify these images ourselves, and this is part of one of the problems, High Commissioner, that both sides, there's a lot of information coming out, but independent journalists, foreign journalists are not being given access. The Pakistanis have said to me, you're free to come to the sites that have been targeted, and we can take you to the line of control as well with the military to show you what's been hit and targeted. And in the same way, the information that we find that we're getting out of, and this image that you've shown was shown at a press conference that the military in Delhi put out as well. But that is part of the problem here as well, isn't it, High Commissioner? I mean, there is an information warfare that's taking place, and independent journalists can't seem to get access to either side.
Well, look, it is a fluid situation out there. I don't know how helpful it would be to have independent journalists or any kind of journalists wandering around in an area where there is active military operations happening. The logical solution would be, as we've said repeatedly, for Pakistan to take the opportunity of an off-ramp, which we have made abundantly clear, including this morning, that if Pakistan stops attacking our military facilities, the matter ends there. But it is for them to decide.
High Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Nice. Next, இதோட conversation போய் பார்ப்போமா? Vikram Doraisamy. I was not expecting him to pull out the photo. Guy came prepared, calm, composed, and well articulated. See how no questions were dodged and responded with another question. He answered every single question thrown at him with absolute ease. Definition of true diplomat: no nuclear threats, calm and responsible statements. Look at the quality of diplomat from Indians. They are sharp, intellectual, balanced, and well spoken. Pulling out the picture, power move. I'm in awe of this guy. Indian officials are also very polished, well informed, and impromptu. No wonder they are the best, and all IAS, IFS officers selected through a rigorous VP selection process. As a Tibetan American, I always love India. Long live India. Vikram is calm, corrected, firm, and factual. Photo is like in your face. Even the reporter was taken off guard. He's so calm and composed. This shows the true courage, bravery, intelligence. He has all the qualities acquired in a diplomat. I watched this interview before. Finally, a sensible person spoke out on Sky. Just clean facts and figures. Proud of the calmness, integrity, clarity of Indian representative. That's the difference between an educated completed from a reputed university versus educated completed from a Pakistani madrasas. Damn, the guy was very well prepared. A thumbs up to India. Such a common Polish diplomat. That image of funeral was published by Pakistani themselves. Indian diplomat, the way they talk and present in India's case is truly something to learn. Calm to point. S. Jaishankar, Vinay Quatra, Vikram Doraisamy. This is how comprehensive national power looks like, from armed forces to defend industries, diplomats to civilians, to Indian national leadership, all coming together to fight. This is much better show with an Indian ambassador rather than a Pakistani ambassador. He showed the photo in a global media. This is a well-educated, well-informed man responses. India is a nation rich in history, strong in its stance, and it will not be broken by forces of darkness, extremism. What an interview. Pakistan escalator, India responder. சம்பவம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க ரைட்டு. ஸோ இதுதான் காய்ஸ் இந்த ஸ்கைன்னு பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தோம்ல, இதெல்லாம் தான் ரியாக்ட் பண்ணணும்னு வச்சுருந்தேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் பாருங்கள் இவ்வளோ இருக்குது பாருங்கள் பார்க்குறதுக்கு. நம்ம இதை பார்த்துட்டோம் இதெல்லாம் சேம் தான். ஸ்கை நியூஸ்லேயே நம்ம ஏதாவது மறந்து விட்டுருக்கோமா அப்படின்னு ஸ்கை நியூஸ் சேனலுக்குள்ளே போய் குதிச்சிருவோமா? இந்தியா பாகிஸ்தான் கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் அப்படின்னு போடும். India launches major strains against Pakistan. Sky News coverage போட்டிருக்காங்க. 3 days ago, 7 minutes ago, news about India, Pakistan, NDTV and Sound Input. Nice. Pakistan launches military operation. Sky. இப்போதைக்கு வேறு எதுவும் இல்லை. உங்களுக்கு ரெப்யூட்டடான நியூஸ் சேனல்ஸ் என்னென்ன அவுட்லெட்ஸ் என்னங்கிறவங்களை காட்டுறாங்க. ஏன்னா அது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப முக்கியம். ஆல்ரெடி போன ஸ்ட்ரீமில் காட்டினேன், பட் ஆனால் ஸ்ட்ரீம் டெக்னிக்கல் இஷ்யூவில் அப்படியே கிளிச் ஆகி ஆஃப் ஆகிடுச்சு. ஸோ இதில் காட்டுறவங்களுக்கு வாங்க. வாட் ஆர் த ரெப்யூட்டபிள் ரிலையபிள் குளோபல் இதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு, குளோபல் நியூஸ் ஏஜென்சின்னு சொல்லிட்டு வாங்க. ஸோ உங்களுக்கு இது தெரியுதா? வாட் ஆர் த கிரெடிபிள் குளோபல் நியூஸ் ஏஜென்சிஸ் டு ஃபாலோ ஆன்கோயிங் கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் பிட்வீன் இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான் அப்படின்னு கிராக் கிட்ட இருந்தால் நம்மளோட பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்னரே கிராக் தான் இனிமேல். ஃபார் ரிலையபிள் அண்ட் பேலன்ஸ் கவரேஜ் ஆஃப் த ஆன்கோயிங் இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான் கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் கன்சிடர் ஃபாலோயிங் தீஸ் கிரெடிபிள் global news agencies போட்டு Reuters known for its they are known for its factual neutral reporting with extensive coverage of international conflicts including India-Pakistan tensions, provide detailed updates and analysis from both sides. BBC News offer comprehensive impartial reporting with on-the-ground correspondence with both India and Pakistan, providing balanced perspectives. Al Jazeera provides in-depth coverage with a focus on regional dynamics, offering perspectives from both Indian and Pakistani viewpoints, often with exclusive footages. New York Times deliver detailed reporting and analysis, often contextualizing the conflict within global geopolitics with contribution from correspondents in New Delhi and Islamabad. The Guardian, known for the extensive nuanced coverage including diplomatic and regional implications of the conflict with a focus on factual reporting. These agencies are recognized for their journalistic integrity and strive to maintain neutrality, making them reliable source for the following conflict. For local perspectives, you might also consider The Hindu, India and Dawn from Pakistan, but cross-referencing with the international outlets is advisable to avoid potential biases because they are from a country. Always verify information across multiple sources as misinformation can spread during conflicts, especially on social media. X நம்பாதீங்கன்னு கிராக்கே சொல்லுதுன்னா அப்போ பாருங்கள் எவ்வளோ கிரெடிபிளாக இருக்குன்னு. ஃபஸ்ட்டு இதுக்கு போவாங்க, ரீட்டர்ஸ்க்கு போவோம். இன்னும் அதான் சொல்கிறாங்க அவங்களாம், பார்த்தீங்களா? ரைட்டர்ஸ் இந்தியா பாகிஸ்தான் அக்யூஸ் ஈச் அதர் ஆஃப் அட்டாக்ஸு. ஃபில்டர்ஸ் போடுவோமா? As per Reuters, India has reportedly launched a ballistic missile targeting a Park military base. This is 1 day ago. United Nations live. என்னென்ன நியூஸ்லாம் கவர் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க பார்த்துருவாங்க. 5 stories you should know ரைட்டர்ஸ் போட்டிருக்காங்க. வாங்கப்பா வாங்க. ஜஸ்ட் 50 செகண்ட்ஸா? குயிக் ரீகாப் மாதிரி பண்ணுறாங்களா? யோசிக்கலாம் வேணாம். As India strikes multiple targets in Pakistan, fears of a military escalation raised between nuclear armed neighbors. Dozens of students were arrested in pro-Palestinian protesters Columbia University. பேசக்கூட கூடாது, ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் கூட கூடாதுன்னு என்னடா அர்த்தம்? US and Britain are expected to announce a tariff deal to lower levies on some goods on Thursday. Black smoke from Sistine Chapel reveals inconclusive first conclave vote on Pope election. Ukraine considers a shift from dollar to euro amid its growing ties with euro. Right. வேற லெவல்ப்பா, வேற லெவல். வரேன். ஃபைட்டு என்ன ஃபைட்டுன்னு ஆக்சுவல் ஃபைட்டுக்கு வர இருங்க. 2 minutes. இன்னப்பா 1 நிமிஷம் 2 நிமிஷம் ரிப்போர்ட் போட்டுக்கிட்டு இருக்க, பெருசாலாம் நீ பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணலையா? ஒன்று நம்பி பெரிய லெவலில் நம்பி வந்திருக்கான்ப்பா, ஒரு ஆடியன்ஸு கூட்டிக்கிட்டு. அப்போ எக்ஸில் தான் ஃபாலோ பண்ணுவோம் இவங்களெல்லாம்.
Shelling from Pakistan damaged several religious sites and homes in Indian Kashmir near the Pakistani border on the second day of major clashes between the nuclear-armed neighbours on Thursday. Residents here are calling for a ceasefire after a statement released by the Indian government said 16 lives were lost in the cross-border fire. It comes as Pakistan said it shot down 25 drones from India in its airspace on Thursday. India said it neutralised Pakistan's attempts to strike military targets with drones and missiles. The fighting has spread a day after India said it hit terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan in the early hours of Wednesday. This footage, posted by the Indian Army on X, whose date and location was unable to be verified by Reuters, is said to show terrorist camps being destroyed in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The escalation has been sparked 2 weeks after India accused Pakistan of involvement in an attack on Indian Kashmir in which 26 people, mostly Hindu tourists, were killed. Islamabad had denied the accusation and vowed to retaliate to missile strikes. Pakistan says at least 31 of its civilians were killed and dozens wounded in Wednesday's strikes and in cross-border shelling across the frontier in Kashmir. Pakistan's information minister told Parliament Pakistani forces had killed 40 to 50 Indian soldiers on the de facto border and blown Indian military installations. On Thursday, Indian government ministers in New Delhi said the strikes on Pakistan had killed more than 100 terrorists and that the count was still ongoing, government sources said. Reuters could not independently verify claims of both countries. Both governments have pledged to respond if one attacks the other. However, ministers from both sides have said they don't intend to escalate the situation or are ready to de-escalate. The US, China and Russia have urged both sides to show restraint in the interests of peace and stability and have offered support. The relationship has been fraught with tension since India and Pakistan gained independence from colonial Britain in 1947. The countries have fought 3 wars, 2 of them over Kashmir, and clashed countless times.
$18 ago, Reuters.
India and Pakistan accused each other of launching new military attacks on Friday, on the 3rd day of the worst fighting between the nuclear-armed South Asian neighbours in nearly 3 decades. Residents across the 2 countries have been rushing to stockpile food and other essentials while families near the border have fled. Sirens rang out in the cities in the conflict's Kashmir flashpoint and beyond, and people were told to stay indoors. India has also suspended its prestigious Indian Premier League T20 cricket tournament after one match was stopped midway on Thursday. The clashes began after India struck multiple locations in Pakistan on Wednesday that it said were terrorist camps. That's after a deadly attack on Hindu tourists in Indian Kashmir last month. Pakistan denied involvement in the attack, and a spokesperson for the Pakistani Foreign Ministry said India's allegations Pakistan escalated tensions are, quote, totally absurd, and that Pakistan reserves the right to self-defense. Both countries have exchanged cross-border fire and shelling and sent drones and missiles into each other's airspace. India's army released this unverified video showing a alleged military strike in Pakistan as its, quote, befitting reply to recent attacks from its neighbour. 4 dozen people have died in the violence so far. World powers from the US to China have urged the 2 countries to calm tensions. Islamabad has said it is speaking daily to Saudi Arabia, Qatar and China about de-escalating the crisis. The relationship between between Hindu-majority India and Islamic Pakistan has been fraught with tension since they became separate countries in 1947.
Comments are turned off. Yeah. Comments are turn off பண்றாங்க. Comments are turn off. எல்லா comments turn off பண்ணி வச்சிருக்காங்க. ரைட்டர்ஸ் பிபிசி போவாங்க. ஆல்ரெடி பிபிசி தான் அவங்க கழுவி ஊற்றுனாங்க. எதுனா பிபிசியாக வந்து போய் சொல்கிறதுக்குன்னு நம்பி போகலாமா? என்ன ஆகும்? போவோம், நம்பித்தான் போவோமே. என்ன தான் பண்ணுறீங்க பார்த்துருவோம். India and Pakistan BB News 4 hours ago, 1 day ago. $10 hours ago, 1 day ago. ரிலவன்ஸில் இருக்கட்டும். ஃபஸ்ட்டு 1 day ago போயிட்டு அப்புறம் மற்றதுக்கெல்லாம் வரும். There is BBC News India. Pakistan vows to respond 2 days ago. நமக்கு இதுதான் வேணும். $20 ago, more than just tension, Michael Clark analysis. பார்த்துருவோம் இதை அடுத்தது நான். Come on, man, you can't do this.
Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. Pakistan has accused India of igniting an inferno in the region by killing at least 26 people in a series of missile strikes and gunfire. Several sites in Pakistan. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. Pakistan has accused India of igniting inferno in the region by killing at least 26 people in a series of missile strikes and gunfire. Several sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir were hit, including this mosque. The National Security Council says India's actions caused grave danger to commercial airlines, endangered thousands of lives, and that Pakistan's armed forces have been authorised to undertake corresponding action. Well, India said it hit 9 sites targeting what it described as terrorist infrastructure. It said no military facilities had been attacked. Also says 10 civilians were killed by Pakistan's shelling on the Indian side of the de facto border in Kashmir, known as the Line of Control. Well, tensions between the new armed neighbours have escalated since last month's attack in Indian-administered Kashmir, in which 26 civilians were killed. India accuses Pakistan of backing cross-border terrorism, a charge Islamabad strongly denies. While in Muzaffarabad, in the main city in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, troops cordoned off streets around that mosque that Islamabad said was hit by an Indian missile. BBC Urdu's Farhad Javad sent this.
Just few meters from here is the Bilal Mosque, which was one of the targets of Indian strikes last night. This whole area cordoned off. There is a heavy presence of the troops of Pakistan Army and other security forces here who are not allowing anyone to go past this point. The building of the mosque has been completely damaged. We can see debris and large fragments of metal rooftops scattered everywhere. You can see one metal piece here as well. And these are the scenes that we have seen almost everywhere. Not only the building of this mosque was damaged, but some of the houses which were very close to the mosque, they are also partially damaged. Most of the residents, they had left last night. Some of them had managed to come back today to assess the damages to their properties and also lock their doors. I have spoken to some of them who say that they were fast asleep and they heard explosions and they saw huge sparks of light when the missiles struck this building. One of them says that we were sleeping when we heard the first blast. He says that we ran out of our homes with our families and children. The kids were terrified and shocked and everyone was screaming. He says, another resident I have spoken with, he says that the streets were filled with people fleeing in fear and unsure of what was happening. A sense of fear, uncertainty and trauma is not limited to this part only, but as we walk through the city, we can see that the impact of this attack is on everyday life is quite visible. Streets are quiet, but atmosphere is quite tense and people are trying to make sense of what happened last night.
Thanks to Farhat for that. Well, India says the missile strikes are in response to a deadly attack on Indian tourists in Pahalgam last month.
The whole country is happy that we took revenge. Our country gave a fitting reply to those who killed innocent people. Our enemy countries should get this message. We have information from every corner, and if we have to take more such action in the future, we will do so with more strength.
Well, our correspondent Samira Hussain is in Delhi. She told us more about the response from the Indian government so far.
Well, we actually heard for the first time from the Indian government and officials from the Indian military. It was the first time that we'd heard anything from them in person after the overnight attacks. And they put up maps and showed details in terms of where they attacked last night in Pakistan-administered Kashmir and beyond that area. They said that the 9 targets were actually militant training camps. They were operating these training camps and even were housing weapons. And India said that those were their sole targets, that they successfully destroyed those targets, and they specifically picked those areas because there were no civilian, that there wouldn't be any civilian casualties, which India says that there weren't any civilian casualties. Of course, Pakistan denies all of this, denies that there were militants operating in the areas that they targeted, and they have said already that dozens of civilians have been killed in those strikes and more have been injured. So it's a lot of what you're hearing from Pakistan, from India rather, being countered by Pakistan and vice versa.
Next.
Next, the latest on the mounting tensions between India and Pakistan. Both nations have accused each other of using drones and missiles to target respective military. Next, the latest on the mounting tensions between India and Pakistan. And both nations have accused each other of using drones and missiles to target their respective military installations. Let's speak now to our correspondent, Arunade Mukherjee in Delhi. Just bring us up to date with the latest.
Well, we just heard from the Indian government in an official communication that was circulated to the media where they said that Pakistan zeroed in on some military targets in north and western India across multiple cities. Now, they said these attempts were thwarted by using air defense systems, and at the moment they were in the process of trying to collect and identify the debris from these attacks that India called, which could be provided as evidence and proof of Pakistani involvement, is what India is saying. They said now in response to that, India then targeted some military installations in Pakistan, and claiming that one of the air defense systems has been neutralized in Lahore. These are, of course, claims from the Indian side. India essentially saying and reiterating that this was in response to what Pakistan did, saying that they have no intention of escalating this into something bigger, saying that this is simply a proportionate response in equal measure and in the same terms as what Pakistan has been doing, is what India is saying.
Arunade, thank you very much for that. Let's speak to our Pakistan correspondent now, Azadeh Mashiri, who's standing by for us. Azadeh, what's the view from there?
Well, this is what the army is saying. In a last-minute press conference, a spokesperson said that, in his words, he was claiming that India has committed a second act of military aggression. And he claimed that the military has shot down several drones. At this point, it's about 25 drones is what they're claiming across Pakistan. And these are in major cities, including Rawalpindi, which is only a few kilometers away from where I am here in Islamabad. In the major city of Lahore, as well as one location near Karachi. And they've said that the Pakistani army is currently picking up debris across the country in several locations. Now, the BBC has reached out to the Indian Army for comment, and they haven't responded. And as Arunade told you there are a lot of different allegations that are being traded between these two countries. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, it says it had no involvement in the attack that killed 26 people in Indian-administered Kashmir, most of them tourists, and it is calling India's actions unprovoked. Several countries have been urging both India and Pakistan to de-escalate current tensions. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, it is saying that it sees itself as the victim of an unprovoked attack.
The comment section போய் பார்க்கணுமே என்ன அடிச்சு வச்சிருக்காங்கன்னு. Pakistan don't need additional defense system. They have BBC. Wow. Just now Pakistan shot 200 UFOs. And Pakistan defense system is now used for drying clothes. When was the last time BBC spoke to it? Oh, sorry, it was not written in your rule books, right? Reason Britain. H is BBC, stands for honesty. BBC propaganda agency. India gave proper proofs of strikes officially. Meanwhile, Pakistan defense minister social media has proof. Even CNN humiliated him. Why does BBC always have something against India? India will continue to bash Pakistan till BBC shows correct news. Westerner, after killing a million of people, give lectures to others. Stop portraying Pakistan's victim. RIP BBC. Chinese HQ and defense systems is destroyed by India. Unsubscribe BBC. BBC like India blinks, Pakistan says calm. Reality. India protects itself, BBC says. India started it. India should thank China for giving Pakistan their HQ9 defense system. Chinese HQ9 was asleep too. Did you know trying? Right.
We're entering the town of Pathankot. Now, according to the government of India, in the intervening night between 8th and 9th of May, this place was among the several places which came under Pakistani missile and drone attack, specifically a military installation in Pathankot. Now, the Pakistani government has issued a general denial, in fact, of its involvement in any of it. But what we are going to do is that we are going to go inside this town, talk to the people and tell you what they've seen, felt and heard.
रात को खूब सारी बातें आ रही थी, सुन रहे थे धमाकों की और शोर शराबा, बच्चे भी रो रहे थे रात को, बच्चे डर जाते हैं कि ऐसा हो रहा है, तो फोन भी काफ़ी सारे आ रहे थे क्या हो रहा है.
So in Pathankot right now, there is a lot of security presence that is visible. There's a lot of checking that's going on, but that's one side of the story. The other side of the story being just how are people feeling.
मतलब कि ऐसे धड़म धड़म की आवाजें आ रही थी और रात को हम 1 बजे तक अपनी छतों पर बैठे रहे. वो ऐसा मंजर तो हमने 71 में भी देखा है. 71 में भी हमने जहाज उड़ते देखे हैं और बम गिरते हुए अपनी आंखों से हमने देखे हैं.
रात को बच्चे डर रहे थे, हमने पैकिंग वगैरह कर ली थी कि निकल जाएं. हमारे रिश्तेदारों के लुधियाने से फ़ोन आ रहे थे आप इधर आ जाओ. लेकिन फिर जब देखा हमने सुना एक गाड़ी के ऊपर भी बम गिरा, फिर हमारे बच्चे बोलते अभी नहीं निकलेंगे, सुबह 4 बजे के बाद.
Access to military installations is just not there, as a result of which we cannot tell you precisely what has taken place out there. But what we can tell you precisely is just how deeply these events have impacted the minds of people here.
जो लोग बॉर्डर के पास रहते हैं, जिनके बिजनेस है यहाँ पर, वो इसी चीज़ को फील कर सकते हैं कि जंग होने का नुकसान क्या होता है. जो दूर रहते हैं, जो यहाँ लखनऊ में है या महाराष्ट्र में है, वो ये फीलिंग नहीं सह सकते कि यार जो बॉर्डर के पास रहते हैं यहाँ बिल्कुल रफू जैसा माहौल है, कोई आ नहीं रहा, कोई जा नहीं रहा. बिजनेस में फ़र्क पड़ता है और जो है आवाजाही में फ़र्क है, लोगों के मन में दहशत होती है. जो ये चीज़ें हैं ना, छोटी छोटी चीज़ें, माहौल ख़राब है, हर चीज़ में दहशत है, ये फीलिंग जो होती है ना बॉर्डर के जो पास रहते हैं, वो उनको यही फीलिंग आ सकती है. देश अगर दोनों परमाणु वाले देश हैं, अगर वो होती है तो कहीं ना कहीं कोई ऐसी अटैक ना हो, भगवान करे ऐसा अटैक ना हो, तो देश जो है वो 30-40 साल पीछे चला जाएगा.
As the sun starts to go down, nearly all shops in markets like the one behind me have shut. People are in a rush to head home and prepare for what may be yet another night of possible blackouts and uncertainty.
BBC News India. Wow. Actually, कुछ ground reality कुछ काटना मेरे से. They did the same in Pakistan on mask. Pakistan did not attack on men. They know the difference. They said the attack by Pakistan is an act of war. What they have done be doing in our territory for the last 3 days. Sindur se tandoor burn. They are crying with fear because of noise and explosion. They tried but could not strike our military targets. As I write in this post, they have failed 3 times today. There are a bunch of status quo who are shelling innocent villages, but our armed forces are acting responsibly, hitting only military and terrorist targets. Putting Pakistan in grey list is very much necessary now. India is about to activate its conventional forces wing. Ladies and gentlemen, do not walk on escalator and allow old men and women to stand freely without fear. People who are in hurry, good health, walk on normal stays. I'm very happy now. Report now on 10th May 2025.
Pakistan has rejected allegations from India that it sent missiles and drones to attack 3 of its military stations. The Indian Army said it foiled attacks on its bases in Jammu and Udhampur in Indian-administered Kashmir and in Pathankot in India's Punjab state. Pakistan's defence minister said if his country had attacked, everyone would know it. Tensions have been escalating between the neighbours since a deadly attack which killed 26 people in Kashmir last month. Well, let's speak to our correspondent in Srinagar, Davina Gupta. So tell us, let us the latest on these, what we think are these attacks, or whether we can get any further information for sure about what these attacks were.
But for now, we are relying on official sources from the Indian Army, which made it clear last night, as you mentioned, that Pakistan fired missiles and drones at 3 of its military installations, and it has been able to neutralize these attacks, a charge that Pakistan has denied. The Indian Army also said there's been no loss of life in these areas so far. But right now I'm in Srinagar in the Indian administered Kashmir, surrounded by green hills next to a local lake which has houseboats which are on a standstill. The shops are shut here. Just in front of me, there's also a yellow security van of the Indian Armed Forces. There are hardly any people on the road, which conveys a sense of a heightened security concern. I can also tell you that it was a long, anxious night for locals here, because a blackout was also enforced in this part of Indian administered Kashmir, in fears that there could be a further escalation of tension spilling out here. But this morning, the electricity has been restored, but most of the schools and colleges are shut here. The civilian airspace also is closed down, so there are no flights coming in or out of this place and in several other cities in India in this region. So it is an anxious time for people out here in anticipation of what's going to happen next.
And what efforts are being made to try to de-escalate?
Well, one of the things that the Indian side is doing is also repeating its statement that it what happened earlier this week when it targeted 9 sites at the Pakistani side. It said it was in retaliation to the deadly attack which happened on its soil, for which it blamed Pakistan again. And it said that in that one, 26 tourists were killed, but that, it said, was the limited operation on quote-unquote terror infrastructure, and it doesn't want to escalate tensions. At the same time, sending a strong message that it won't back down if Pakistan continues to provoke India in different ways, which again Islamabad continues to deny. Today we know that Indian Defence Minister will be meeting several armed forces chiefs, so we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that meeting. So far we are waiting also to hear if there will be a formal press briefing for journalists to know what comes next.
And in the meantime, when you speak to people there, how concerned are they about the security situation?
Well, I did go to some of those regions at the line of control, which is a de facto border dividing Kashmir between India and Pakistan. And they're extremely concerned because just last night as well, there were reports of an intense artillery shelling in that zone. So when I went there yesterday, I could see that many locals were fleeing and evacuating those areas and going towards safety. One family that I met said that they just had to leave everything overnight. One person in their family couldn't even wear slippers when they were going out and had to walk for hours to reach and seek shelter among their relatives. They also told me that there was a lady in the group who had to grab her 1-month-old child and leave that area immediately because they suddenly heard a loud bang and outside their house. Now, these stories are often the same that we are hearing from that region, which seems to be witnessing the worst of escalated tensions between the two neighbors.
Davina Gupta.
Has Pakistan ever admitted to doing anything? We also didn't attack Pakistan. Those were asteroids falling on Pakistan. Sorry for your loss, BBC. Always BBC crying on India. Cheers to India from Spain. Best wishes to India. Are you capable to run a country? Pakistan, we deny the fact. Like this, Osama bin Laden never visited Pakistan while their army was giving shelter to human family. That 1 star in Pakistan flag is actually customary. For BBC, Osama bin Laden found in India, not in Pakistan. The war of denial begins. I wonder what the Defense Minister of Pakistan will say about this. They even denied their own soldiers in the past. Indian soldiers helped them even win award for honor in Pakistan. They are not targeting any army base, but targeting civilians. Is Pakistan a country? We deny this fact. BBC has lost credibility. ரைட்டு போட்டோ போலன்னு வந்துட்டாங்க. இதான் நான் காட்டிக்கிட்டே இருக்குது, மட்டும் பார்த்துருவோம்.
Pakistan says it is retaliating. after accusing India of striking 3 of its air bases overnight. Pakistan says it is retaliating after accusing India of striking 3 of its air bases overnight, including one close to the capital, Islamabad. Both countries have blamed each other for the violence since militants killed Indian tourists last month in Indian-administered Kashmir. Pakistan has denied any involvement. At least 50 people have been killed since the fighting escalated on Wednesday. The G7 group of the world's top industrial nations has called for an immediate de-escalation and direct dialogue between the two countries. Last month's militant killing of 26 tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir has sparked the worst fighting between India and Pakistan in decades. Well, let's speak to our correspondent Arunaday Mukherjee, who is in Delhi for us. Welcome to you, Arunaday. And there's been a press conference from the Indian authorities and military in the past half hour or so. What's the latest from them?
Nothing new, I guess. Comment section pe paapom. Where is your reporter in Pakistan, Lord? People from Rawalpindi and Lahore are experiencing early sunrise. Pakistan awakened a whole Indians to perform prayer. BBC is scared to go inside Pakistan report. Shame on BBC, no ground reporting from Pakistan. You know how safe India is and how unsafe Pakistan is. Terrorists killed by India in asterisks were given guard of honor by UN designated terrorists and Pakistani journalists. The Kashmiri may peace prevail. France offering Pakistan Air Force free Rafales just to prove the world that the problem isn't just the pilots. Pakistan said they attacked the sun and heavily devastated in the night, said in a media briefing. Look at the sky, there is no sun in the night. Why there are Pakistan army standing beside terrorists in funerals? Pakistan successfully neutralized Indian air defense system is founded while destroying 3 Indian air bases. If not Indian administered Kashmir, it's India's Kashmir, the sovereign state of Republic of India. Kiss each other. Where is your news reporting ability? Right, BBC போட்டு போலாம் போறதுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ரொம்ப நியூட்ரலா தெரியலையே.
Well, in fact, I was at that press briefing that took place just behind me in that building where the Indian Foreign Secretary, Mr. Vikram Misri, addressed the press along.
அதான் பிரிச்சு போட்டுருக்காங்க. இதை நம்ம பார்த்தோம்ல.
Between India and Pakistan, we can
escalate the current situation, but if
இந்த மட்டும் தான் நம்ம பார்க்கல. எண்டு விட்டு
might bring some sense been escalatory.
Have been targeted and has been in the intense crossfire and shellings that have been reported there. For now, at least in Srinagar, the situation is tense and we are waiting to see what happens during the day and get some more official information.
Well, earlier I was joined by Hussein Haqqani, a former Pakistan ambassador to the US, and he gave us his analysis on the tensions between the two nations.
The last 4 days, there has been an escalation despite the fact that both India and Pakistan keep saying that they do not want escalation. It seems that both sides want to have the last word. The terrorist attack of April 22nd was something that disturbed the Indians, legitimately so. They felt that they have been having many terrorist attacks for the last 3 decades and they need to do something about it. When they did something about it, it was not the end. Now Pakistan wanted to retaliate to that. In between, we've had drone and missile exchanges that have definitely been escalatory in nature. And the traditional pattern that these two siblings born on the same day in 1947 as independent countries keep fighting and America comes as nanny to stop them from fighting didn't actually hold. Hopefully now President Trump has decided that he's not going to have this hands-off attitude and that might bring some sense to the table.
Yes, I mentioned a moment ago that Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, had offered US support to start constructive talks. What's your sense of whether that offer will be taken up then?
Well, hopefully it will be taken up and it will de-escalate the current situation. But if anybody is expecting a resolution of the problem, that's not going to happen. India says that the real issue is Pakistani-sponsored and Pakistani-supported terrorism. And it cites a string of attacks that have taken place both in India and in Jammu and Kashmir over the years, for which it holds Pakistan responsible. Pakistan's response is that India also has an internal problem, and some of these attacks are because of that. For example, this latest attack was very far from the Pakistani border, and so far India has not been able to find the people who are responsible for it. So India has a problem that it must address itself. In the middle of it all is the concern about nuclear weapons. The world doesn't want these two countries to fight and reach a point where either of them is compelled to use nuclear weapons. Will there be talks that will satisfy both sides, India's concerns about terrorism and Pakistan's concerns about the resolution of the Kashmir dispute that has been unresolved since 1947? I don't think that's going to happen. And so we might have de-escalation now, but we will have a similar crisis when next time there is either a terrorist attack inside India or Pakistan's leaders feel that they have to rally the nation around the flag by saying that Pakistan is under threat from India.
Right. What is next? நம்ம அல் ஜசீரா மட்டும் தான் போகல, மீதி எல்லாமே கவர் பண்ணிட்டோம். கரெக்டாக அவங்க அல் ஜசீரா எங்கே இருக்கீங்க? நல்ல நியூஸ் கொடுங்க நீங்களாச்சும். 20 minutes 8 hours breaking 3 days. என்னம்மா நீ இவ்வளோ நியூஸ் கொடுத்துருக்கியம்மா? ஒன்றதாம்மா நான் முதல்ல பார்த்துருக்கணும். அல் ஜசீரா இங்கிலீஷ். வாட்ஸ் கோயிங் ஆன் பிட்வீன் இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான்? வா, லெட்ஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் சிம்பிள் and then we will go into further. India launches strikes at Pakistan in-depth analysis. 3 days ago.
Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India and Pakistan.
ஏன் இப்படி ஸ்ட்ரக் ஆகுது?
Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India.
நீ விடுறதாவே இல்லடா. எப்பறம் நீ ஸ்ட்ரக்
Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India and Let's talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about India. Let's talk about India and Pakistan.
हसन भाई और ये
India launching a military operation targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
India and Pakistan have been exchanging a barrage of fire across the line of control.
So we've seen this major military escalation, and a lot of people are worried about where this could all go.
Because India and Pakistan are both
A barrage.
First CNN வந்துச்சு, அடுத்தது என்ன வந்துச்சு?
Inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
India and Pakistan have been exchanging a barrage of fire across the line of control.
So we've seen this major military escalation, and a lot of people are worried about where this could all go.
because India and Pakistan are both nuclear armed powers.
Why is all this happening now? Well, it's linked to an attack in Kashmir back in April. Remember, Kashmir is a disputed territory. India and Pakistan both administer parts of it, which are separated by what's called the line of control, but both countries claim all of Kashmir. The attack in April happened in a place called Pahalgam, which is really popular with Indian tourists. Gunmen came out of a forest and shot and killed 26 people.
The terrorist attack that triggered this crisis was particularly brutal and particularly egregious in the sense that it targeted civilians who were identified based on their religion, and it really hit hard across India, and the level of anger was especially strong.
So here's where you need to know a bit more about Kashmir and its history. India and Pakistan have basically been fighting over this territory ever since the partition of India, when Pakistan was created as a separate country. They fought a war over it in 1947, and that ended with a ceasefire and a division of the territory. Now, on the Indian side, there's been long-running opposition to Indian control. Many Kashmiris say their rights are being trampled on by the Indian government, and they want more autonomy. Some want independence. And over the years, armed groups have been fighting against what they say is an occupation. India has often accused Pakistan of supporting these groups. And that's what happened after the Pahalgam attack. India said the gunmen were linked to Pakistan. And 2 weeks later, it launched the missile strikes as a response.
India exercised its right to respond and preempt as well as deter more such cross-border attacks.
India says it hit 9 sites, both Pakistan-administered Kashmir and in Pakistan's Punjab province.
They say that these targets were chosen based on credible intelligence inputs and that these were terror camps where attacks against India had been planned and directed from.
Now, Pakistan has denied having anything to do with the Pahalgam attack. It says India's missile strikes killed at least 31 civilians and injured dozens. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the strikes were unprovoked, cowardly, and an unlawful act of war. Both sides have also exchanged fire across the line of control. Pakistani fire killed at least 13 civilians in Indian-administered Kashmir, according to Indian officials. Meanwhile, Pakistan has vowed an even bigger response.
At a time, place, and means of our own choice.
Now, some of the details of what's happened so far are disputed or not very clear. For example, Pakistan has said it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets, although India has given no official response to that. So to some extent, you've also got a war of words going on, and there's a lot of rhetoric on both sides. The big question right now is what could come next.
Much depends on how Pakistan will choose to react. A war, a heightened conflict and escalation is in the interests of neither of these two states. And also, it's the people in the region, the Kashmiris, who are not being served by any of this.
அல்ஜீரா இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் டீட்டெயிலாக பண்ணியிருக்கலாம், நல்லா தான் பண்ணேன். இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் நல்லா பண்ணியிருக்கலாம், டீட்டெயில் பண்ணியிருக்கலாம். கமெண்ட் செக்ஷன் சொல்லுது பார்ப்போம் வாங்க. கேன் ஃபைண்ட் த ஃபுல் ஸ்டார்ட் ஹியர் பிளேலிஸ்ட் வித் ஆல் எபிசோட்ஸ் ஹியரா? ஏடா யூடியூப் பிளேலிஸ்ட்லாம் கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க. CNN, வேர் இஸ் எவிடன்ஸ் ஆஃப் டிஸ்ட்ராயிங் enemy fighter jets, Pakistan military, it's all over social media. It was terrorists, not gunmen. Please correct it. I'm a Kashmiri and proudly I'm an Indian. My condolences to Al Jazeera. was gunman your father? Kashmir is not disputed. Kashmir is Indian legally. Well, every country has army. Pakistan has army as a country. Get well soon. Al Jazeera. Why is the world silent when terrorism is bleeding innocent lives in India? It's heartbreaking to see global power equating a victim nation with the very state that exports terror. India deserves solidarity, not misplaced neutrality. Condolences to Al Jazeera. Kashmir is not disputed territory, it's an inseparable part of India. Pakistan started the whole thing. India will end this if Pakistan continues. UN fails to resolve the issue of Palestine and Kashmir. Wrong. Pakistan willingly gave up its claim over China occupied Kashmir. Just go on to show how much Pak military state loves Kashmir and its people. Kashmir is and will remain an integral part of India. Gujarat is the world through one eye. God gave you to. Kashmir was always will be an integral, inalienable part of India. Pakistan illegally occupation Kashmir. பிளேலிஸ்ட்லாம் கொடுத்துருங்க. என்ன பிளேலிஸ்ட் இது? நீ நம்ம பிளேலிஸ்ட்லாம் வச்சுருக்க அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு. ஏய் நீ என்னடா பிளேலிஸ்ட்டில் வச்சுருக்க? என்னன்னு பார்ப்போம். எல்லாம் பார்க்க முடியுமான்னு தெரில. நம்மளால் முடிஞ்சதை மட்டும் பார்ப்போம். அல்ஜசீராக்கு தனியாக நான் வரேன். ஃபுல்லாக எல்லாத்தையும் சேர்த்து வச்சு ஒரே அடி அடிக்கிறதுக்கு. Start here explaining the news. Oh, Pakistan India tensions. US Iran nuclear talks. இது இப்படி தான் இருக்குமா? இதுதான் அந்த இதுவா பிளேலிஸ்டா? இந்தியா பாகிஸ்தான் டென்ஷன் மட்டும் பார்த்து முடிச்சு விட்ருவோம். மற்றதெல்லாம் வந்து பார்க்குறேன். உனக்கு என்னதான்டா பிரச்சனை? ஏன்டா லோட் ஆக மாட்டேற? உனக்கு ஹை ஸ்பீட் இன்டர்நெட் இருக்குடா. உனக்கு நல்ல சிஸ்டம் தான் இல்லை. புரியுது. என்ன பண்ணுறது?
What's Pakistan going to do next in response to India's strikes on Pakistani territory? Pakistan says the strikes killed 31 people and that it will retaliate.
We pledge that the blood of every fallen martyr will be avenged.
And now we've had another development. Pakistan says it shot down 29 Indian drones. Now, just to recap, things have become super tense between the two countries since an attack in mid-April when 26 people, mainly Indian tourists, were killed by gunmen. It happened in Indian-administered Kashmir, in a place called Pahalgam. Now, Kashmir is a disputed territory, and it's been a major source of conflict between India and Pakistan for decades. There are all sorts of aspects to that, including, on the Indian side, armed groups fighting against what they say is an occupation by India. India has often accused Pakistan of supporting these groups, and that's what's played out after the Pahalgam attack. India said the gunmen were linked to Pakistan, something Pakistan denies. On Wednesday, India said it launched missile strikes on 9 sites, both in Pakistan and in Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
They say that these targets were terror camps where attacks against India had been planned and directed from.
Pakistan was furious and said all those killed were civilians. Since those strikes, both sides have also been firing heavy artillery at each other across the de facto border in Kashmir. India says at least 13 civilians were killed on its side by Pakistani fire. Other details, though, are either unclear or disputed, like Pakistan saying it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets. India hasn't officially responded to that. Right now, everyone's waiting to see what Pakistan's next move might look like. And there does seem to be broad public and political support in Pakistan for retaliation. So the risk of all this getting even more serious is looking pretty high.
என்ன அல்ஜசீரா ஆக்டிவிட்டியே சரியில்லைங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கே. கமெண்ட் செக்ஷன் போய் பார்ப்போம். It's funny that India suddenly knew where those gunmen were trained and where those groups were located, but India couldn't stop the government inside the border. We the people living in Azad Kashmir are experiencing unbearable pain due to the continuous shelling and missiles from the India. Hey, என்னடா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க கமெண்ட் செக்ஷனில்? Pakistan has a right to self-defense. India attacked its people to make excuse to attack Pakistan. Attack on Pakistan was said by Modi and Amit Shah. They were their people. Why not caught attacker up till now? Pakistan has a right to defend itself. Pray for peace, people, please. Pakistan claims to shoot down 3 Rafale, 1 Su-30 and 1 MiG-29. It admits that 3 of it is shot down. Thanks Al Jazeera for your true reporting. Being an Indian, we need peace. Pray for peace. Listen, Pakistan is a sovereign nation and it has a right to defend itself. Everybody needs to stop occupying Kashmir. Pakistan, India, and China need to get rid of them. Let them live in peace. Israel Indian people, they really like to spread peace around the world. So humble people. It's only beginning of catastrophic, horrifying drama. Yeah, retaliate will come. China must step in between. Good reporting, nice reporter. So shocking, guys. So shocking. CNN இருக்கு அடுத்தது பெருசாக பார்க்கணுன்னா சம்பவம் பண்ணிட்டுருக்கானுங்க எல்லாரும்.
We begin with breaking news. The military says it's hit 9 targets in Pakistan and in Pakistan. We begin with
Okay guys, I hope this covers everything. நான் என்ன பண்ணுறேன், ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு பிரேக் எடுத்துகிட்டு டெஃபினெட்லி வந்து அல்ஜசீரா என்னென்ன சொல்கிறாங்க, CNN என்னென்ன சொல்கிறாங்க எல்லாத்தையும் நம்ம பார்ப்போம். ஓகே, we will news direct everything. We will know what the international community is seeing through. எந்த ஐஸ் மூலயமா எந்த நியூஸஸ் தான் அவங்க நம்புகிறாங்க, எதை அவங்க ரிலே பண்ணுறாங்கிறத நாமளும் தெரிஞ்சுப்போம். ஸோ தட் இட் ஆக்சுவலி ஐ ஓப்பனிங் திங் டு டூ. ஸோ இத்திரன் ஸ்ட்ரீமை முடித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். நான் பண்ணுறது உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருக்கு அப்படின்னா லைக் பண்ணுங்கள். உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது சஜஷன்ஸ் இருக்குன்னா கமெண்ட் செக்ஷனில் தெரியப்படுத்துங்க. If you want to support me, just hit that subscribe button. That's the only way you can support any upcoming YouTubers like me. இன்னொரு நல்ல ஸ்ட்ரீமில் விரைவில் உங்களை சந்திக்கிறேன். Until then, all peace out.